This brightness is always so ridiculous. Oh man, I always make sure I get up here before 10 o'clock now. This is closer to 10 than I've done the last few instances, but I'm doing that as a social experiment for the most part. I mean, I already said before, getting up at 6 a.m. on a Saturday or Monday is especially difficult because when you live somewhere where you can't really go to sleep or be by yourself up until later hours of the day, and there's like a person who just won't, go to sleep themselves, it can be problematic. To where it must have been about a Saturday ago, a weekend ago, not this past weekend, but the one before that. I didn't even go to sleep at all. I just stayed up until 6 and then came and did the stream and then went back and passed out. I usually even like doing that because it means that I'll be knocked out for the whole morning. But I just couldn't get myself to run the risk of not showing up at when I had wanted to. So I just, all right, well, I guess I have to basically come here at some time I'm not usually, or rather stay up later than I usually would to ensure I came here at the time that I was planning on coming on. Another thing is, a lot of times in like the latter parts of the morning, like when you get to probably around 11 a.m., which we're about an hour and a half from, it just starts getting so warm. Like it's like the weather really picks up in terms of the heat at very inopportune times. Yeah, this is one of the hottest summers I've ever seen, and I don't feel like sitting in the air conditioner for no 2 hours. But yeah, right now I'm trying to see if I can get this person to come on my stuff. I'm actually very interested in speaking to them because they had a conversation I thought was uh, not necessarily different from what I've seen before, and that's actually one of the reasons I want to speak to them because I think my way of talking about this is more nuanced than what some other people say. And I guess the biggest problem I'll ever have with a lot of that romance stuff is that there are these people who will take the most simplistic. I mean, first of all, we've talked before. I hate it when they call um, men who have a difficult or hard time or incomprehensibly hard time getting a date or girlfriend or whatever you want to call it, the I word, because it's like this is really a term that just gets like thrown around pretty much anytime you're a male that's single and doesn't want to be, and especially if you criticize women, that's like the most evil sin you could ever commit. Um, but it's just kind of sad how when I was watching the video and I was kind of like agreeing with some of the stuff one of them was saying, I was starting to roll my eyes when the guy was like, "Oh, you know, um, a lot of these men that are unable to get one, they just lack social skills." I'm like, it's so funny how the internet really is like whether I'm talking to someone, reading a comment, or even just watching something. I feel like if you ever wanted to make a true satirical image, you should have a guy who on his shirt it says romance aficionado or romance expert or problem solver for men or something to that effect. And so it's got that's on his shirt, and there is a big circle in front of him, a dartboard, and he's just throwing all these things at the board to see what sticks. And on the things he's throwing, there's low confidence, there's no social skills, there's I mean, at one point they start talking about like having male dominated hobbies. And I was laughing because the hobby that they chose to talk about that has women in it is like being knowledgeable of history. I said, well, I mean, I'm someone who's into multiple different things, as has been mentioned before. And I can attest to this. I've never once been of the belief that I've been any closer to meeting someone which in a how do I say this? The reason I don't think it makes a difference is because the times where I meet someone who likes the same things as myself, that is a woman or whatever, generally speaking, it doesn't become romantic. Like, yeah, you have this thing you can, I guess, talk about with this person, but it never lends itself towards, oh, by the way, I really liked that you did this, and hey, you want to do this together. It just never happens. It always stays on that same platonic level, and a lot of times you can't even get them to really be interested in you beyond a couple of conversations before they just inevitably walk away, or otherwise don't bother talking to you anymore. So they just said a lot of stuff that had me rolling my eyes. And again, it's like part of me can understand the logic of it, but the other part just thinks the execution leaves a lot to be desired. Like it just, when I say people are throwing things at a wall and trying to see what sticks, I feel that way because I've seen so many of these same examples and excuses trotted out before, and we still end up with the same results. But yeah, if I can't get that person to show up, then I'll put something up. We don't, I'd like for them to come because I think it'll be interesting to kind of like, because I said before I don't like the pill stuff either, but I just think most of my stuff is based around looking at very obvious patterns and drawing a conclusion based off of that. And I think a lot of people, when they're trying to do their little positivity punk stuff, they don't really they try to they have to like not think critically when they're doing that, because if they did, then they would say, yeah, this is not going anywhere, or they would see where it's not going anywhere rather. Oh man, is my connection acting up? I hope not. Okay, no, it's good. The only thing that's not good is you can hear that dog barking outside. Outside, I shouldn't even say. I am outside barking over in the corner somewhere. That's kind of weird. I thumbed it up and it doesn't even appear. I don't know what happened. Maybe it's some kind of technical issue. But yeah, I'm just kind of really saddened by the way a lot of people act online. So really, what we've discovered just by watching this stuff is that if you are a man and you're single, and people are they're going to do two things: they're either going to attack your appearance, which we've seen time and time again, or if they don't personally, and again, this is why I said beauty's not of the beholder, but if they don't personally think you're unattractive, they'll just say that there's something wrong with your personality, because it's always your fault no matter what. Another thing that was funny was when the one of the two said that a lot of the I words like are unemployed, or it's like, well, I mean, hell, there's we talked before about the dingbat with the baby, and that was someone who quit their job and for several months had no job and was taken care of by their boyfriend. So if a woman can find someone that wants to be with them in spite of not having an income, it's, I mean, there are homeless people that date each other. So it's like that's why I said I just feel like at every point there's always going to be something that a person can hypothetically have a problem with, and then another person who's never met me would be like, well, you did this wrong, so this is why your fates is this way. Man, I do not like the hue of that. I don't know, sometimes the camera quality can just be like random and finicky. Like sometimes it's really good, other times it's just all over the place. Yeah, the person who said I was streaming too early. Well, we'll see if they show up today. We'll see. We will find out. Yeah, this one person I spoke to on Twitter, and they were talking about not Twitter on Discord, and they were talking about like, hey, what do you like the female clothes stuff? And I said, for me, the biggest problem with any ambitions towards wanting to wear that is that because I'm someone who doesn't live alone or can't live alone, um, and I don't mostly like most of the places I go to are within the same general area that's like 10 miles away, 20 miles, to where people who live around me, or rather, the same little tiny group of people who live around me could like recognize me. I I never want to be put in a situation where I could be confronted over a choice like that by someone I happen to live with, and not be able to basically just walk away from them because I said before, there is a certain inability to express oneself that comes from this like mandate of not being able to afford any of these stupid high price places with these dumb jobs don't hire anybody, where you feel like even if you're an adult you still don't think you have the right to do certain things and not be, I guess, challenged on it or forced to. It's kind of like when I was homeless for that 3 week period. Part of me really did feel just complete and total freedom. Like there was no worrying about having to pay rent or how are you going to pay this, or I just felt, like I didn't have to answer to anybody. I was on my own. I was done. This whole like system of you need to address this with that person and say it was dead. And that was the one thing I liked about that period where I just didn't have to put up with anyone, sticking their finger in my face and telling me what to do. It was nice. Um, but that's the biggest reason I couldn't go out of my way to try and wear any of that stuff at least at this point because I'm just not in a living circumstance where I I wouldn't possibly be confronted by someone, usually the same one or two people, that would have a potential problem with it or try to like ask me a bunch of invasive questions that are none of their damn business. So as much as I might like the look of that stuff and say that I feel more comfortable with the prospect of it than in the last year, for example, I just am not in the circumstance where I can do that, unfortunately. And believe me, I am not happy at all acknowledging that. It does me no joy to mention how restricted I feel. But it's the truth. Like I can't do certain things by virtue of who I live with or where I live, and it shows in that particular instance. Like whether I like it or not, and I don't. I really despise the idea of, oh, my friend saw you outside yesterday and you were wearing, I don't want that to ever happen because there's nothing good that can come from it. I have a group of relatives who have never been accepting, and I don't think they are emotionally equipped to deal with something that is not considered the norm of society in such a visible way. That's the best way to put it, I think. Maybe somebody else's relatives are, and lucky them, but not mine. And like I said, it's hard to resist the urge of that stuff. Like I said before, women have beautiful clothes. They have very unique clothes, all types of different outfits that are distinct from each other, and you know, apparently are very comfortable. So it's just really frustrating to me that if I were a certain other gender, I could wear whatever I want. Nobody would say anything. But if you're male, why do you have that type of thing? Also, I was starting to write this story about this. So a lot of people have problems with time travel in stories because they think it like messes it up or gets confusing or complicated. And really, for me, I just think if you don't think too hard about it, it's not that big of a deal. Um, but I was really interested in the idea of a story where there's a character who gets what they want, but then it's not really what they want. It's kind of like if someone has a dream of being a millionaire and then they become rich, but then there's like a clause in the money that they receive that they can't spend it on anything. So it's like they are officially wealthy, but in actuality they're still just as limited or even more so than they would have been if they were middle class or poor. Man, that sun is not playing. No, I'm just thinking of all the weird stuff that's going on with these IPs. Yeah, I don't know. I like the idea of just seeing what an alternate universe would look like where one thing was different. If this person hadn't have done that, this wouldn't have happened. Also, I have an individual I speak to sometimes that in the past week or so they've had like a recurring thing they do where they'll say, "Oh, we can talk tomorrow," and then they just won't even. Because I said before, I'm the kind of person where if someone is not able to do something they said they would do, so long as you are upfront about that and go, hey, maybe we can do this a few days, next week, whatever. Um, I like to believe I'm generally understanding, but if you just disappear and just ghost me, it's really obnoxious. Um, and that's what they've been doing for the last few days where we spoke. I believe that was a Monday and then a Monday of last week. And then they didn't say anything the next day after saying we would speak after they got up or whatever. Then they said something the day after that and then just said nothing. Or rather, they said they would speak to me the next day and then didn't because they went over their one of their relatives' house or whatever. Because when you go over somebody's house, you can't talk to that person anymore. You can't talk to anybody else. So I was very disappointed. I was sitting over there shaking my head. And, oh, and I said before that the biggest problem for me with relationships and trying to like maintain stuff with people is I just never feel like the other side really gives a damn. Like I always felt as if it was me just jumping through hoops to try and appeal to somebody. And then, the other person is just like, whatever. I guess I'll talk to you. I'm bored. So, we can speak. That is the one thing I really miss about streaming from the place. Just not having to worry about somebody playing some music. I don't know what it is about like driving and because I sometimes will drive somewhere and have music playing, but I always have the windows rolled up. People really just assume you want to hear that. It's obnoxious, man. Man, that lovely humming. Sometimes you can sit in something and just wonder if it's gonna blow up on you. Apparently, that person's not staying either. They just came over here blasting their music and they're finally taking off. There's actually a semi dangerous turn in this area where you have to watch both sides. So cars that are coming left and cars that are coming right. And I feel like every time I use that lane, I'm never comfortable because sometimes you'll have some giant or big car that blocks your view or obscures your view rather, and that makes me uncomfortable and it makes me like want to back out of even attempting to turn all the way. It's just too dangerous. Yeah, it's been a really irritating last couple of days. I mean, I explained before that there's just so much stuff just popping off that it's hard to really be as like I truly wish the events since last September had not happened because things would be going so much easier or simpler than they are now. But there's a lot of stuff that just keeps happening and developing and occurring, and I'd love to get into the specifics of it, but it's not simple enough for me to kind of explain all in a single stream. There's a lot of little weird things happening too. But yeah, that stream I watched, it was not stream, it was a video, I guess. I think it was a video. It's yeah, but it's so interesting how I really do start to believe that we're never going to reach a point where people can look at things in a nuanced manner. Like there's always going to be this overwhelming group of people who, when something goes wrong, something's not right, something's not the way that another person thinks it should be. Oh, you must have done this every time. That group is never going away. It doesn't matter what the evidence is. They will just keep singing that lie. Because again, it's easier to assume things aren't true than to ask around and figure out if your biases are not what they appear to be to you at first. I saw a cup trending on Twitter. I thought they were talking about a different cup from the one that we're all used to, probably. Oh man, streams with these people can be so wacky. Like I tried to not read that much of the chat because usually if I watch a stream, I'll just listen to what's being said or stated. But they were writing some goofy stuff too. Mm. Which I mean, I don't hold against the person that made that stream because you're not in control of what someone writes on it. Just get more hobbies that women are also into. Yeah, I can't tell how many times I spoke to some woman that liked to draw or was into history or whatever, and you might have like 2, 3 conversations with that person about the stuff you have in common with them, and then the same thing happens every time. They stop speaking to you abruptly, or I mean, it goes nowhere. Like it's just, hi, how are you doing? Oh, I'm fine. How about you? Oh, cool. Hi, how are you doing? Oh, I'm fine. How about you? Oh, great. Oh, how are you doing? Oh, I'm fine. How are you? I mean, just same old crap every year. And then the other person was like, oh, well, you have to get to put yourself out there, and it's a numbers game. And like, yeah, yeah. Anyone still believing in the numbers making a difference? I have a bridge to sell you, man. As many stupid websites and places I went to trying to talk to a triangle. That's hilarious. Like I'm just thinking about it right now. Three different malls, um, several times with each one, mind you, and a bunch of different websites, YouTube included. Because I remember I was speaking to some woman from what was that? She stole some other lady's picture. That's what they do on here when they don't think they're attractive. They go and they take another person's image. Uh, but when he said the numbers game, I was laughing. I said, you really think it makes any damn sense for me to have to talk to 100 or 200 of them just to maybe get one? I mean, I'll never understand how anyone thinks that's normal or thinks that should be normal. So I said the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Doing all this stuff for someone you've never heard of, or for all you know doesn't even like you. I just think it's dumb. And that's one of the reasons why I stopped altogether. I said this is stupid. This is going nowhere. And, again, people are allowed to do whatever they want, but it just seems like, and I'm going to make this point, if me and that person talk, that if the same thing keeps happening over and over again, whether you go on dating websites, whether you go and ask out them in real life, whether you don't bother with them at all, um, for you to still be surprised that you're getting the same results that's always happened, again, it just seems like a self parody to me. And we've long since established that the red herring is real. I mean, how many times have we seen some woman that was like, hey, I really enjoy speaking to you, and I feel like we have a connection. Yo, you're so, they give you some compliment on whatever aspect of yourself they choose to hype up for the second. And again, it goes nowhere. It's more worthless talk. I guess I can use this as an example of weird women. There was a broad who made a new channel. They're trying to say they're not the same person, but I'm about 90% sure that they are. They made a new channel, and they had a playlist because they subbed to me. They had a playlist of a bunch of different commentators, people that make the exact same type of stuff as me, right? And I looked through the playlist just curious because sometimes there's someone I've never come across that might say something or be interesting. And as I go through the playlist, I'm shocked to see that I'm not in there at all, even though I make the same exact type of video as the people that they claim to like. And I say, well, this can only mean one thing. This is someone who's got some kind of like animosity towards me, which makes it even crazier that they sub to me. But that's just how weird these people are. I'm gonna sub to someone and then never leave any comments on their stuff, and uh, never add any of their stuff to any of my playlists, even though it supposedly is of the same topic that I like or find interesting. People are so weird. Person asks, "What else can you do to, I guess, get something out of them?" I said, "I really don't know. I just feel like a lot of time has been wasted with this stuff, and people don't want to accept that there's just too many lies, there's too many red herrings and false flags, and I um I can't in good conscience, give any recommend because it just doesn't seem like it gets any better. It's just the same stupid stuff happening every year, and a lot of people who are kind of like not wanting to really be as condemning of women as they probably should be. So they kind of try to, that's why this whole thing of it's always the man's fault exists. It's less so about actually getting to the root of a problem and more so just trying to make it the man's fault no matter what. Like they made sure to point out, oh, a lot of these guys aren't even asking out women. They're tired. It's like, yeah. It's like, oh, but if you don't try, then how can you? It's like, but that's the point. You did try, and it was the same result. That's why I said chicks as a group are just so rotten to me. Like talking about them is rotten. Speaking to them is rotten. It's just nothing good comes out of any mention of them. That's why I said for the most part, I probably would say that I would just stay away. Outside of when I, work with them on some kind of project or some other thing where one of them's required. But other than that, I usually don't bother with them anymore, like in any capacity. Why didn't I get notified that this person's sending me a message 3 hours ago and I didn't even see it? I wasn't up 3 hours ago, but still. So I saw these devices are so goofy with, in terms of how much stuff is off about them. I guess on the job front, I got a rejection email like every day for the last 3 days straight. I think so. That's fun. I had some place call me, and I'm like, I was thrown off by this because usually when I get a call back for a supposed job, even though it's mostly a joke, it's typically during the weekdays where they're like, "Hey, can you come in or can we speak on the phone or whatever?" Not on a Saturday morning. So I was asleep when they called me, and then when I called them back, they wanted me to call some other number, and I just said, "This is stupid." Yeah, maybe I'll call them back today. I don't know. All right, so for after April, I just became so jaded, like especially after April, just even more jaded with this job stuff because it really does feel like being a hamster on a wheel. They want you to drive all over the world to go to. It's just, man. This stuff really has turned into a cartoon. Yeah, this woman just came out of her car. Actually has some really nice hair. It's like a kind of a dirty blonde color. But unfortunately, she has the same issue that we talked about before, which is what I said. I've been noticing more and more overweight women. Uh, like it, I'm really not even saying this to be funny. It's like every time I turn around, and I'm not saying all of them are, but I'm just saying like I'm noticing a trend where when I see someone who's a like, because there are men that are not in shape or whatever as people will say, but I'm talking about extreme like forms of obesity and like the actual like stomach hanging out type of and the arms that are sort of longer extending. Like I'm really just mainly seeing that from women now. It's just a trend I'm picking up on more and more where when it comes to like more prolific forms of obesity, it's mostly women that I see with it. So that was another example of that. And it's no coincidence that that person went into a food place. And like I said, I'm not saying this to make fun of anyone. It's just really funny to kind of sit here and hear about appearance and all the rest of that crap, and then you like look at these chicks. And I've said before, I don't care who gets mad. I would rather be single forever than be with one of them. I don't find them attractive. So people can get mad if they want, but if women are allowed to have standards, then so am I. There was a story I read one time about several years back where there was a male character who wanted to get the approval of their peers, and they were like going out and doing all this crazy stuff. They were trying to wear certain outfits and speak a certain way, and at the same time, the mentor character is like, "Hey, what's the point of having to do all this stuff to appeal to someone that doesn't like you, that doesn't have any type of actual desire at all to appreciate you for what you are, especially if what you are is not, it's not like they're asking you to improve in some way that's going to help you. No, they want you to shell a whole bunch of money and do all this stuff just to appeal to them. And it's the protagonist like goes from doing all these things to appeal to them, just kind of like not caring anymore because he has the realization that no matter what he does, he'll never be what these people want him to be. And that's kind of the way I feel about a lot of that chick stuff, where it's just, again, it sounds cool on paper. Oh, go exercise. Oh, go and travel to all these different places to just improve your chances of encountering the magic woman. But in reality, I just kind of don't think it's worth it at all anymore, especially as we've discussed before that so many times if you try to have an actual adult civilized conversation with a woman where you just outline, hey, this is what I would like to do, this is what I want to do, and the person says, "Oh, you want to have a family at some point?" Well, I never want to have kids. It's like, well, okay, I've got nothing to work with because I said before, I don't care how attractive the woman is, especially since we know that attractive women are a dime a dozen. Not wanting to like basically declaring that you're never going to be interested in evolving past just going on dates is a non-starter. I don't want that. And this person was like, "Oh well, maybe that's because it's always my fault. Maybe that's why you scare women off." Like, scare them off with what? What is scary about someone telling you this is a long term goal of mine? This is something I'd like to do at some point if we are to stay together in some form or manner. Because, like I said, if you pretend that that's not a goal of yours, and then the person a year, 2 years later is like, "Hey, I don't want to have a family," then you'd be running into the same problem. Except now it's even worse because you've let this person believe that you were fine with what they were. And by not telling them up front, hey, this is what I want, they can say, oh, well, you tricked me. So I'd rather just cut the umbilical cord and let's just get it over with than to do any of this little pondering, pontificating stuff. And this shaking is awful. All right, I'm gonna turn this off again and see if people will stop playing stupid music. Oh man. That's the one thing I miss about the other place. Having a room where I could just stream whenever I wanted. That's definitely missed on days like this. It's really crazy to think there's like only one place I've stayed where that was the case. Everybody else has like one bedroom or, you know, something even worse. We're talking about some wildfires on the news. Oh, I still have to go up to this recycling place and deal with that. And I'm still shocked I forgot to get soap when I went to the market. I said before, what happens is that there's something usually that I don't have to worry about getting more often than not. Like, I don't run out of that stuff every week or anything, so it tends to slip my mind in comparison with a lot of the other more prominent items. Like, if I go up there, I know I'm getting some food, I know I'm getting some, just little like general ideas of what like recurring stuff I pick up each time I'm there. But with all this other stuff, I don't usually get it, so I might go up there and be like, "Oh, uh, I forgot." That might happen. So yeah, I forgot about getting that, and now I'm gonna probably head over there when this is done. I hope I don't forget again. I actually, when I was leaving earlier, I forgot my computer. I put it in a box and not in my bag. So when I left out the place, I was like, "Oh, it's in the bag, right?" Nope. So that would have been that's like the first time that's happened where I actually left it inside after locking up. That was one of my greatest errors. Man, I'm so glad I left Insta garbage a long time ago. Like, seeing some of the scandals that break out on there is really funny. The little weird stuff that people say to each other and things that they do to each other. Just, I do have sympathy towards some of the people on there because it really is sometimes where you can just post stuff and some person will come and go, "Why are you doing?" That type of thing. But a lot of times they will talk to somebody, and if the person doesn't react the exact way they want, they'll try to, like, act. What's the way of putting it? disturbed or whatever. Oh God. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the chick that was in that one Discord server that was into like the same stuff I was. The I think it was yeah, I mentioned her in that She's a 10 stream where I was talking about was in this server and there was some woman that liked the same type of it might have been films, I think it was, yeah, that I liked. And we were having this like really good conversation where I'm telling you, I've never met anyone online that liked that same stuff. And I said, hey, if you want to do something, I'm up for doing it. I don't care what you look like. And after I saw her image and, you know, she saw mine, she started talking about, oh, there are other people on the server and I was thinking to myself, this woman's not attractive. Like everybody I showed the picture to in real life said the same thing. I showed it to like 5 different people and they all were like, that's the person that turned you down? Really? But so I'm just bringing it up as like another example of how you can have things in common with someone and it still doesn't mean anything because they don't think you're hot. Dating them, you will not. Just it's as simple as that. I already said before. I think a lot of that woman stuff would be so much better if they were just regulated to like cameos and just background roles as far as like if you work somewhere and you have a female coworker, you just say hi and bye, speak strictly about the position. um But as far as trying to get to know each other, that needs to die. Like there's no reason to even pretend that's a thing that has any rationale for existing. Because like I said, I've had plenty of chicks where you can have like 1,000 cordial conversations with them, and it'll still end. I remember the one broad I spoke to her for probably 5 or 6 months. This is back in like 2015. This is about almost years and years ago, right? Decent conversations. Person I like talking to. They said they like speaking to me. But what happened? They stopped logging into their Skype and were too damn lazy to ask me, hey, do you want to talk on some other website? So we just we drifted apart. But again, that goes back to my thing of how every time you speak to one of them, you can notice a very clearly defined arc where they just eventually get sick of you or are not as reciprocating as they were when it started. And we've seen this happen time and time again. And we've also seen it happen where they'll blow smoke up your what. Oh, I like you so much. Oh, you're so interesting. Oh, you're so funny. All that stuff, and then it goes nowhere as well. So I said I'm tired of all that red herring because people really do act like it's just some guy goes up to some woman, he says he likes her, and then she says she does, and then he gets mad and goes online and talks about stupid chicks. Like, no, there's a whole background and saga with these people a lot of times. I wish it were as simple as these people make it out to seem. You go up to somebody, they say they don't like you, and that's it. But it's very rarely like that. It is a longer, much drawn out process. Oh man. Swear these cars will sit in the exact same formation for like 3 or 4 days. It's like, oh yeah, but people are leaving from here, huh? They're very busy doing things. Somebody made a fan account, and on their account, they're like, "I am not this person. I am my own person." I was just laughing because they almost sound like someone who has a parent that they're being told to live up to. They're like, "I am my own person." I still can't believe this book is coming out tomorrow. Like, it doesn't even feel real. Like, I usually don't even pre-order stuff, but I was just so excited because I got same day delivery. Man, I'm just sometimes something comes out and you just can't even believe it's really being released. I think Barbie's coming out. When what day is that? Uh, they were talking about people are going to go see both. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not seeing. It'll either be that or Oppenheimer. I might not even see either one until they come out on DVD. Okay, so it's on Friday. As expensive as movie tickets are now, that's like $30 to go see two movies. Like just me by myself is $30 to go see something once with a bunch of people that are probably going to scream and make all types of noise and get all the good seats. So no, you can have that one. Sorry. I wouldn't even be at the theater for that long either. Like for no, I couldn't imagine being there for what 5 hours. I might I might use that movie to mess with this friend of mine. Be like, hey, so I know on Friday you're not going to need me to help you with anything because you're going to be at the theater watching Barbie on repeat. The last time I made that joke was when it was with Morbius, but I think this will be better than that. Just from what I've seen from the trailers. God, tickets are so expensive. Like when I went and ordered tickets for what was that like a month or two ago, and it was like almost $15. Like really? I could buy like I could buy two cases of 40 bottles of water for that price, and still have some change left over to throw in a Coke. That really is crazy, just how expensive things are getting with the. And I don't know. I just think to go see a movie one time, it shouldn't cost that much, but whatever. Hey, glad I caught your stream. Hope things aren't going too crazy for you. You might actually have. I guess if I can make a comparison, this is kind of like when you want to study for a test, but then you go outside and they're giving ice cream away for free. It's like it is so like I want to stream, but it is so hot out here, and people keep coming by playing this stupid, likely copyright music. So let me put the window back up. Uh, And imagine paying for tickets and also food or refreshments. Well, that's the thing that gets me because it's like it's not even like, oh, your ticket is probably um $5, $10, and then food is, because food at the places was notoriously expensive. I mean, I'll never forget when I went up to my little brother. He wanted a bag of chips, not even like those big bags, but ones that come in those packs. Where they have like a little variety packs in the market, for example. It was like $5 or $4, and then $5 for a drink that, yeah, you can refill it, but what's the point of getting the drink that you can refill if you're probably not going to leave the movie to go and refill the drink? Yeah, I'm gonna just have to. If I get demonetized, well, oh well. Like I can't do this. So people just come by and play their dumb music, and we'll see what happens. Mm. All because of convenience. So they capitalize on that and attempt to profit from. Yeah, they know that people are not going to refill their drinks. They know that people usually can't bring food in from, like, foreign food or food from somewhere else in there with them. So yeah, they capitalize off of your hunger to try and squeeze some more pennies out of you when they're already making plenty enough from the film itself. These tickets are not cheap. No, I was just pointing out that on Friday, both Barbie and Oppenheimer are coming out, and this person was asking me if I was going to see one of them, and I said it just, like, because some people are joking like, oh, I'm going to go see both, but it just would cost too much. It's like $30 to go and sit in there for 5 hours, and I can't do it. Hell, it costs almost half as much as it does for groceries. I think I mentioned to you before that when I was working at that retailer, there was some person that complained about how expensive something in the store was, and they were like, that costs more than dinner. And I was like, well, okay, sure, but what do you expect me as the cashier to do about that? I don't make the prices. They're like, I'm supposed to just use my superpowers and lower the price. Just like the guy that was on the phone with his woman or whatever she was, and he was like, "Whoa, why does this stuff cost so much?" I was like, "Oh, this costs $8." He's like, "Man said $8 for some lice." So I'm like, no, this is how much it cost. I'm not making this up." I tell you, they really, what it is that some people are so stupid they just grab stuff off shelves without even thinking like, hey, how much does this cost? So when they get up in front of the line, they start like contemplating, what do I want to put back because this is getting too costly, and they vent their frustrations about the prices of things at the people who have no control over them. It's hard sometimes being a cashier and having to deal with customers that aren't reasonable. Like, I'm telling you, I don't even use cashiers anymore. When I go to the market, I use the self checkout. But I know as I'm walking down the store, okay, this is like $8. This is three. This is, I get like a general idea of what the price is from the fact that they say it next to the item. It's not like you grab something and it's like mystery. These customers are anything but reasonable. There's like a weird rattling that kept going off with that thing for some reason. I was saying there's a person I'm trying to get on here to speak to, but I don't know if they're gonna be receptive to my message. They were on somebody else's stream about a few days ago that I watched, and they were discussing this oh so terrific romance topic, but they discussed it in the conventional way of, calling everybody an I word, and saying that, men aren't asking out women, and how can they expect to be asked out themselves, and all the usual tropes we've heard 1,000 times. So I'm gonna see if I can get them to speak about this in a more I don't want to say compassionate manner, but less stereotypical, I guess you could say. I didn't even tell my message. I should have said, "Oh, I don't have. I only have a sixth of the subs as the other person, but I guarantee we'll get you'll get some eyes on you if you come on here." Oh, the theater is just so expensive, man. Like, holy hell. Is it going to be a stream similar to one you had with your best friend some years ago? What I was thinking of doing is recording it without it being live, because sometimes the connections at these places are unstable and they can mess stuff up, and then posting it in its entirety after that. So it's like a split screen. You can see them, you can see myself. I kept trying to get my friend to do a sequel to that stream, but he's just the busiest man in the world. Tried so hard to get that sequel going that it was I told him it's harder to get a sequel to that stream than it was to make Ghostbusters 3. Well, I hope they're down to doing it because I haven't heard anything back. So if they are, I'll see if I can get this thing going. Also, there's a weird woman that apparently has resurfaced. She thinks that the rest of us are complete idiots. Megumi, let me run through an example with you. Let's say that you and I both liked some I can think of. Just as an example, The Last Airbender. You made videos about it. I made videos about it. And let's say after about a month or so, we have a falling out where I block you after you ask me, hey, are we gonna like still speak or not? You've been not saying anything to me for a whole month. Are we still talking, etc., etc.? So then for a whole year, you just continue doing your stuff, whatever you're the stuff you're doing before. Then all of a sudden, a new guy comes around, and he's like, "Oh, I love The Last Airbender," and you're like, "Oh, okay." And the person subscribes to you, right? I go, okay, that's nice. But then here's the caveat: they have a playlist on their channel, and it's called "Favorite Last Airbender Videos." And as you're scrolling through this playlist, you see videos from that person from last year. You see videos from this new person doesn't even have 100 subs, but you don't see any of your own stuff. And you're like, wait a second, this person subscribed to me, but then they won't put any of the videos I've made in any of their playlists. They won't comment on any of my stuff. What is that? But you think to yourself, what's with this weird animosity that they have that would cause them to not favorite anything I've ever made and put it in this playlist of stuff that it would only make sense to include it in? And then suddenly your mind clicks, it goes, oh, maybe they're the same as that other person from last year that I stopped speaking to. They're into the same topic. They hide their face just like the other person. You never get to hear their voice. It doesn't make sense for any new person to be acting this way toward you. So maybe that's them on a new account. So she must think we are just complete idiots. I'm about 80 or 90% sure that's her. It is possible if you notice some of the same patterns from the person a year ago, because it doesn't make sense for anybody else to do that. Like, listen, I'm just gonna put it to you like this. That was the first time I ever tried to truly be friends with a fellow content creator. And I don't think it's a coincidence that a year later, someone who's confirmed to be of the same gender, who likes the exact same thing, is like now back and then won't, is like antagonistic towards me in like these little subtle ways. So I think it's her. I was gonna tell you, there's actually a stream that these guys, there was a group of guys that this person left. And after the guy left the group, he was saying they were making fun of him and insulting him and blah 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 blah. And the guys did a stream calling him a liar. And one of the guys was like, he blew up in our face, so now this is blowing up in his. When that woman blocked me right after I was like, hey, so do you still want to speak to me or not? And I did my stream talking about how stupid she was for doing that. I said, I tried to be nice and civil. She blew up in my face, so now this is blowing up in hers. And I have this like mental image of when I go on my phone and see that I'm blocked, the phone just like blows, like explodes in front of me, like a little explosion. And then when she goes to her computer and sees the stream I did talking about dumb she is, the whole computer just goes out in a light of flames and fire, in a shower of sparks. Yeah, that's really strange. I won't say it is beyond impossible to suggest it is the same person. Well, I tell you that most people online are not good at covering their and this is someone who um has had, so a thing they like to do, and I know this because they showed me it, so I'm, this is just a thing I've observed, is they like to every couple of years, they're like what's a good example? They're like Sony or Batman, where they just keep rebooting themselves. They had one channel back in the early, like the mid 2000s, late 2000s rather. Then another channel that they made like 3 years late. They've had like three different channels, and what they do is they stay on one for a couple of years, and then they just leave it and go and make another one. So that's why I'm saying I think it's the same person, because it's in character with them to be into the thing that they're into. They have animosity towards me from last year, like this other, possibly like this other person did, or they have some kind of animosity, which is why they did what they did. Um, they're on a new account, which is something that this person has been known to do. I think it's them. I have no proof, no confirmation, but just the stuff. Too much stuff is like lining and adding up. And like I said, most people online are not such geniuses that they can like slip through the cracks, Because before they made that playlist, I wouldn't have thought anything of it. There's a bunch of people that just subscribe and don't say anything. But I can't imagine being sub to someone that makes the type of stuff you like and not putting any of the stuff they've made of the topic you enjoy in your playlist, and like the person's not supposed to notice. They'd be like, what in the world? But then you add the stuff that the person who supposedly wasn't you into that playlist. Yeah. What a coinky dink. She blew up in my face, so now this is blowing up in her. You can definitely tell something is off about that. My favorite thing, because for some reason she thought it was a good idea to have her subs public. I don't know why anyone would ever do that. Like I'm serious. I don't know what sense it makes to do that at all. She most likely has been found out. I think so. But my favorite thing is when I was looking at her subs, I saw where she was subscribed to this toy channel. This guy that like reviews different toys, little reviewers, collectors, whatever. And I'm just imagining when she gets done making her, because she made a video. When she gets done making her video, she's like sitting on the floor with her action figures and the big case of them in the back. I was like, so wait a second, you won't sub to the guy that made the stuff that you apparently liked and agree with, because she did unsub at a certain point about a couple of days ago. But then you'll stay sub to a toy channel. Okay, whatever. Dude, there's too many similarities for it to all be a big coincidence. I'm not even some great detective, but I was like, yeah, this can't be anybody else. like I'll put it this way, there is a higher chance of me making a video and getting 1 million views in 2 days than there is of that person being somebody else. I believe that there's too much stuff that person has in common with this individual from last year. It's just crazy to think that's the only content creator that I tried to be friends with, and that fallout was hard, man. I still can't get over like you. I wish you could have seen how for like a period of 5 or 6 weeks, every time I got a notification on my phone from I call it Insta garbage, I would look and go, oh, she must have finally responded. Nothing. I would just keep looking. What is the deal? Why won't she say anything? So one day I just sat back and I said, look, are you going to speak to me or not? If you don't want to, then just say it. I've been waiting now for almost a month. And when I clicked that thing and saw that I was blocked, I said, what? So I was pissed. I did my stream talking about how much of an idiot she was for doing that, and it felt good. I think it's her. There's too much stuff that's just coincidental for it not to be. Yes, they really do that kind of thing. And like I said, I have no problem screenshotting and or reading the message I wrote. I didn't curse her out. I didn't call her out of her name. I didn't say, hey, you better do no type of threat. I just said, do you want to speak to me? It's been almost a month of you not saying anything. Like I was genuinely shocked when that happened. I have never been more surprised outside of maybe one time when someone blocked me. Like it just took me by complete shock. So I think that's her on an alt. And like I said, if she wants to sit around and pretend she's a new person, okay, go ahead. Because I'm not in the business of trying to expose them or go, this is this, that's whatever. But it's just, I'm just more so disgusted by the idea that she chose to come back and engage with me in like a way that was kind of like superficial. Like I'm going to subscribe to you so you know who I am, but I'm never going to leave any comments on your stuff or add any of your stuff to my stupid playlist that it would make sense your stuff would be in there. Won't say anything to you and will just block you on a whim if they feel like it, regardless of how you were with her or how you spoke to her. They don't care. You can be as civil as a diplomat and they will still like just throw you out like a piece of garbage. A month of waiting for that what is that, 5 6 weeks waiting for that person for them to do that. But people act like they're confused as to why I don't like talking to chicks and, oh, I don't understand what, man, whatever. At this point, if people are still confused, I don't know what else to say. I just feel like a broken record. I tell you, my favorite part of that stream, there is something I've noticed. It is relating to the chick stuff as well. Well, write it as you can write what you want. I'm just going to point this out. Um, I think it's really hilarious that people actually try to sit there and talk about male dominated hobbies and how if you're not into stuff that women are also into, then you won't meet someone or your chance of meeting someone are lower. Because I was talking about how there are plenty of chicks that sit on Twitter all day long talking about the news or history, usually the news, but they're colloquially into that same type of thing, right? But I'm not joking. If you go and try to DM one of them or say hi, you get the same two things that happen. They either say nothing back, maybe they respond once or twice, but barely, and they just sit on there posting stuff all day long because they're not trying to. And this goes back to why I said social media is so toxic. This is not about, like, for example, you would never see them do a stream or go on here and talk to people because they're not trying to have conversations. They're trying to get attention for themselves. And that's one of the reasons why you're more likely to see them argue back and forth with a troll or some person that doesn't agree with them, like a back and forth, than you are to see them exchange interactions with someone that they claim to like or otherwise agree with. Because this isn't about building relationships or trying to foster some kind of positive role in the other, none of that. It's all superficial stuff meant to generate more attention for themselves. If you just have something in common with women, it can make it. Yeah, I've yet to see it. It's just so funny, man. I'm into so many different things. Like when they sit there and they start talking about, oh, whatever. Think it's sad how like every person you could argue is like a complex human being, and when we're trying to dehumanize men, we act like we're these flat one note characters or caricatures that don't even have like an actual variety of things they like or enjoy. Have you realized that some chicks that you come across that will be very talkative and very enthusiastic speaking to you, if they have a boyfriend or partner, which they make it very known to you? Oh yeah, we did a video about that. The why do women with boyfriends like talking to me? Where I showed how there was this lady that for almost a month was sitting up there and talking about how we were having a good time together, and I was wondering where you were when you didn't message me and what you were doing, blah 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 blah. You're my friend, etc. etc. And then reveals that she's dating some guy, and I'm like, if the guy is so great, go talk to him. I didn't say that to her directly, because she was already getting on my nerves some of the stuff she was doing, but you get the idea of like if this guy is so terrific and I'm such a piece of crap, then go and speak to him. And then there is the chicks who aren't with anyone and make sure to not let it be known to you at all and are extremely reserved and close off from speaking to you or anyone. Yeah. I can't tell how many chicks you talk to and you almost feel like you're watching an episode of Naruto where they start talking about, in the past I dated this man and he abused me and used me. And they used it, and like, we all have stuff that's happened to us, but like they use that as their justification for keeping you at an arm's length, right? At a distance, right? Even though you've done nothing to them. And damn well that if the shoe was on the other foot and I started talking about, hey, to hell with chicks, I don't want to talk to any of you ever again because there was this one woman that did this, people would say, oh, that was just this one woman and you can't hold against this one, and da 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 da. But when a woman does it, they pull out those violins, they go do 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 do. That's why I said the ones that aren't with anyone are arguably more dangerous than the ones that are with someone, because at least the ones that are with someone, they could be the ones that are like fishing for another guy to jump to. The ones that aren't with anyone choose to be alone. Like that's why when I was watching the stream, they started talking about what, right? The female celibates or whatever. Dude, the idea of the I word, right, is it's guys that are involuntarily alone. It's guys who don't want to be single but that are, right? They said that, I'm just going to say the word, well, no, I'm not going to say it, but they said the female equivalent is comprised of chicks who have been with men in the past but would rather not have the same heartbreak, same issues, etc., etc. You understand that this doesn't make any damn sense by virtue of the definition that they've espoused, right? So for example, if I say Megumi is an I word, he can't get a woman. But then I say Megumi's sister is a femme, whatever. And, she used to date some guy in the past, but she's not with anyone anymore because she thinks it's all doom and gloom. It's like, but that's her choosing to be by herself. That's a choice that she made. Wait, what? How does that work? I'm serious. In the stream, they said that the female versions differ from the men. One, because there's way less of them than men. We already know that. But two, because they choose to like not be with men anymore because of the bad. But again, like that contradicts what the phrase is supposed to mean. It doesn't make any sense and isn't the same. No, it's a false equivalency. But see, that's why I told you that, and I'm not even trying to sound egotistical here. When a lot of people talk about this topic, their opinions are not well thought out. Their views are contradictory. They say things that they know they can get away with saying because nobody will challenge them on these things lacking consistency. And that's a perfect example of it right there. Because see, if I'm talking about men that can't get a woman, I'm not even going to mention the female version because that's irrelevant. LOL, it is not by choice with chicks. It is by choice. Well, you understand what I'm saying? They can't be the female version of I words if they're not involuntarily by themselves, which is the entire basis for why they call I words. Just like, for example, if I had 3 women each year who said, "Oh, I like you and I want to spend time with you and be with you," and I was like, "Look, lady, I don't find you attractive. You're a bum. You're trash." I'm not an I word because I'm choosing to pass up women that are interested in me. Even if I'm still single, it's a choice. And I already said before that what's probably going to end up happening is if I were to achieve any higher level of success, I literally just would not be interested in being with any chicks at all. Because again, we don't, I told you before, I hate gold diggers. They're like the third worst group of people in the world. But you get my point that if I were to in like 5 years suddenly have women asking me out, and I go, "Hey, Johnny, come lately. It's too little, too late." I'm not an I word. If I say you guys are liars and I want nothing to do with you, even though you claim you want something to do with me, get lost. The definition no longer fits because now the shoe is on the other foot. Like I said, if that person agrees to come on my thing, I'll link that other stream because I don't have a problem promoting other people or other people's videos or whatever. Give them that courtesy, but uh, it was hard to sit through some pizza that I have to admit. They don't know what the term means. No, they don't. They just say things. I tell you, we've gotten to a point where if you insult a woman, like if you say a woman is an idiot, you have people who will call you the I word. I've seen men who have wives get called the I word online. And I'm like, what does this even have to do with this word? Oh man. Man, when I get back to my place, the first thing I'm doing is opening up a cold glass of either some lemonade or some soda, something. It's gonna taste so good after I get out this damn sun. It's turned into more of an insult towards any guys that may criticize a woman. It really has. And I'm gonna if I speak to that person, I'm gonna point out that I see women online talking trash about men all day long, and nobody calls them any term that's like meant to insult the prospects of them finding a man because of it. This woman will die alone. Why? Oh, she said that a guy was an idiot. No, no one does that. I don't know. I just feel so sad that this stuff is the way it is. Like, it's really frustrating that we have all these chicks and they all act the same. They all act the same. They all get the same couple of passes. They all have the same guys, all using the same stupid arguments to defend them. It's sad. What was I going to say? There was something else I was thinking of. Trying to think of another term I can use. Oh, is this the other person? Oh no, it's somebody else. I was mentioning earlier that on Insta Garbage, they get into all types of troubles and scandals on there over stuff that's goofy. Like there's a woman on there that I never actually directly spoke to her, but I just followed her account for probably like a year or so, and she had somebody trying to talk to her, and I guess she didn't like them, so she blocked them, and then he made an account. So like she runs a fan account, right? That's where you post pictures of some celebrity, like an actor you like, a show you like. The person made a fan account of her. So like they took her name and they put, fan, and then they said she's the best account in the world. And she was like posting stories about it, and she's like, this person is trying to kiss my you know what with their corny you know what description. Like, come on. And I'm telling you, I've never seen that before where somebody like gets offended by another person making an account where where they're saying they're the best one out of anybody. The stuff that happens on there is so weird. It's a good thing I'm not streaming on Friday. I probably should not even stream on Saturday. With Barbie coming out, everybody's going to go and rush and see it and be in the theater watching it on replay over and over. Oh yeah, I didn't even get to talk to you about the prices of digital movies. LO, I'm glad I don't go on there. It's too goofy. It really is. I've never seen something like that happen before where somebody gets mad at another person and they block them, and then the other person responds by making a fan account of the fan account. I was going to tell you that when you buy a movie, like a physical copy of it, it's probably like $20. You understand you're buying the DVD and the case that it comes in. The case is supposed to protect the movie, make sure it lasts for years potentially. You understand where it's really crazy that if you go on a place like iTunes, right? Some like most of the new movies and a lot of the older stuff too retail for prices that are equivalent to buying a physical copy. So for example, um what movie came out recently? Rise of Beast, right? The Transformers film. I go on iTunes, that thing was like $25. And I said, that's insane. And I look at some other movies and they're like 19.99, 15, or I guess 14.99. And remember, these are all just digital copies. These are all things that when you download them, yeah, you can play them on any device, but they're not physical. You don't have a CD, uh, cassette tape, nothing. It's just it is data on your account. That's what it is. So for some data on your account, they want the equivalent price of something that you can actually hold in your hand. And I think that's insane. So you can buy a copy of let me think of something else. Of Back to the Future, a physical copy of it on eBay for like $10. But if you want the movie on iTunes, you have to pay $20. Well, they might be retailing that film in particular at a discount price right now, but you get the idea that generally speaking, they price these films at around the same price as you would get from a retailer, even though in this instance there's no physical copy. It's just data, or data rather, which I think is insane. Oh yeah, I remember hearing you mention that in your stream on the replay. Yeah, because I never would have guessed that digital movies cost the equivalent price of something that you could buy in a store. Oh, let me see if I can make the screen bright enough for you to see this. Yeah, you probably can't see it, but Rise of Beast is like $25. I'm not getting that. Now again, sometimes that the iTunes store does have deals, like bundles where they price stuff at a lower price than what it normally would be. Um, like they had the last Airbender for $30, the whole series, and I came so close to getting it, but I had some other stuff I wanted to get instead. And man, the regular price is $59.99, which is like $1 an episode. I was like, oh man, that's awful. I regret that. But I had Paramount Plus, so I was still able to watch it. You know. Anyway, it's not something you actually own when you purchase something digitally. Then again, I really do prefer. No, I prefer physical media as well. You just have to understand something. I don't live in a place that's really that big, so I don't really have anywhere I can collect stuff and put it together or whatever. So I'm very selective of what films I get the physical copy of. And the other problem also is that what was I gonna say? I think I lost my train of thought. Um oh yeah, I don't have a DVD player. So if I get physical copies, and believe me, there's plenty of stuff I'd like to get physical copies of, it would mostly just be there for display. $25 for Rise of Beast. And they have Fast X for $25. They have the whole 10 movie set for $99.99. I remember it was Star Wars Day back in May, and they put all the Star Wars films at like $8, and I was so close to getting 1 through 6, but I was like asleep that day or something happened, and I didn't get it, so now they're all like $20 each. I said, damn. So for digital copies of 6 movies, that's like $120. But guess what? If I go out and buy physical copies, I can get it way cheaper. But here is another aspect to consider about digital movies. Chances are you can stream the movie for free if you can find. Oh, absolutely. You know what? I'll even go as far as to say this. There are some movies that are so rare, so mysterious, so very rarely distributed that I'm not joking to you. You can find them on free movie sites when you can't find them on any streaming service or the iTunes store, anywhere like that. I can name multiple movies I have seen where the only way I was able to see them is either going on eBay and getting the DVD, I kid you not, or going on some alternative website that was hosting it. I'm not even joking. Like there are some movies that are just that damn rare, where there's nowhere to see them except on some other site, where they're not even hosted by a streaming service. They're just like blanked out. It's really sad. Exactly. This is why I advocate for streaming sites for watching these sorts of movies. I mean, I'm the kind of person where if I really like something and I know I'm going to watch it repeatedly, I don't have a problem buying it. But I do think there's something wrong when the stuff that you're curious about costs that much. Because I said before, if you paid full price, whether it's at a theater or on one of these streaming services, to see every new movie that you were slightly curious about seeing, you would go broke in a second. Because the stuff just costs too damn much. Oh man, the prices of this stuff, it never gets easier, I tell you. That's why I say I really do just wait for the deals that they have. I looked at the Star Wars and it's like $99 for 9 movies. Wow, what a deal! Like, no, it's a ripoff. Oh, that's not even counting Rogue One and Solo. Altogether, that's like $100 some. There's something I'd definitely be behind, but then again, for me personally, I'd really have to be very invested in liking the movie for me to spend money on it. Right. Well, I don't even have that big of a collection. I probably have like maybe 20, 30 altogether movies. I'm just simply saying to you that if it's something I know I'm going to watch over and over again, then I'll get it. Yeah, like Back to the Future. If you know you're gonna watch those over and over, and they're at a decent price, like $20. I saw them on there one time for that. Um, I would get it. But yeah, if it's something like Back to the Future or Toy Story 1 through 3, or I know your favorite TASM 2, you should go and get it if it's at a good price. One time they did have TASM 2 on there for like I think $8. It was either 8 or 7, and I was like, you guys could price that at 7 cents, and I still wouldn't get it. I had this joke that I was gonna make a movie about my life, and we were gonna have merchandise, and I was gonna get the likenesses of all my different relatives, and I had this thing where I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna price each figure based off of the likability and importance of the person. So the one that said, "Would you want to have a place to live when you come back?" should be free. I was imagine you go to Target or some other like Amazon, and it just says 00. And you just put it in the cart and check out. Like you can get my grandpa for $24.99, my grandma for $24.99, my other grandparents for $24.99, my best friend for $24.99, my brother for $24.99. You want to have a place to live when you come back? There you go. You the spin artist free. That'd be the funniest thing if there was like a way to like Sony made a collection box set where it's all their films and they have TASM 2 and Morbius in there, and they're it's on like it's on like a triple sale where they just knock the price down by 75%. I still won't get it. I don't know what's wrong with Sony. If I just hope that Craven is at least okay, because if that thing bombs as bad as Morbius, they're going to be in for some trouble. They better really hope that film is decent or at least not horrible, because I think they're on their last leg. They don't want to admit it, but the waste of money that was Morbius really sunk a lot of their ideas. That's why they're talking about canceling that wrestler movie. That's why they want to announce a sequel to that stupid vampire film. I'm just picturing Sony like with one foot up like this. They're like, I'm on my last leg. Let me just let them knock my last leg off. And it just gets kicked. Like Marvel Studios just comes and just smacks the whole thing off. Also, I was gonna say that at one point I did give consideration to the idea of uh using lipstick, as far as I like all the different colors that they have or whatever. But the problem is, again, when you live with people that don't need to know about this stuff, yeah, you can put it on when you leave, but if they're at your house all day long, and sometimes that stuff, because you know with makeup, some it can be hard to get off, especially if you don't have like some kind of material with you or whatever. It makes me really reluctant to even like attempt trying to do that. So it goes back to my thing of if I was by myself, I'd be a lot more comfortable with some certain stuff. No, I know when you saw TASM 2 on sale, you didn't know what to do. So I'm waiting for Salvation, Genesis, and Dark Fate to be put in the 3-pack of the trilogy of attempts at starting a trilogy. The Terminator attempts at starting a trilogy. I tell you, that the beginning of Dark Fate is so sad because that CGI is beautiful, man. They made Linda Hamilton look like she was back in the 80s, or excuse me, 91 again. The body double they got for Furlong was good. Like, I wish they had just made a continuation of 2, like picking up a few years later instead of jumping forward 40 or 30 years plus. That CGI is some of the best I've seen in any film. It really did feel like it was a lost scene from 2. The only CGI I've seen in the movie that looks as good as that is probably the either the CGI from the first Iron Man or maybe the sand of the sequence where Sandman reassembles himself in Spider-Man 3. Like that stuff looked top notch. I'm not even joking. Some of the stuff people can do with computers is amazing. That's what I said. I always feel like people, when they talk about bad in a movie, is they never. It feels like everything is always directed at either the script or the performances. But they never talk about like visual things or just a lot of the other ingredients, if you know what I mean. Well, I'm just saying if you consider how old the latest film in that trilogy is compared to what we get nowadays, and how good it still looks compared to what we get nowadays, it's like we really must have devolved if something from the early to mid 2000s still looks as good as what we're getting at this point. Like, I'm not even telling you to go watch Dark Fate, but that opening scene CGI looks really good. They made everybody look like they were 30 years younger. CGI in that look a hell of a lot better than that stuff that Disney was pumping out when they did Mandalorian, and they had Luke show up, and then they have some weird computer system operator making his voice. Like, you de-age Mark Hamill, and then you have a computer doing his voice. It's the same thing with Harrison Ford in the last Indiana Jones film. It's like, yeah, he looks good. He looks like, himself from 30, 40 years ago, but he doesn't sound like it. You gotta hear this voice coming out of this. I mean, it's off-putting. I get why people were saying, what the hell. The Dial of Destiny. I don't know who thought that was a good title. I'm gonna make a stream called The Dial of Dingbats. And it's like a guy holding a cell phone, and it's all these different chicks on the line. Oh, Megumi, I know you're not into this stuff, but I did a video about this presidential candidate, and to my surprise, it got like over 1,000 views in, like, I think it was 3 or 4 days. And I was negative towards him because I don't agree with him politically or personally, whatever. Um, but what was so funny to me is that a lot of his supporters were like trying to defend him, and they were insulting me, and none of them responded to what I actually said in the video. And then I did a video talking about, which I mainly did the video because I really just didn't feel like reading the news again. Like, just I wanted, not to do a video where I was reading for once. So they came on the video and they're like, I called them the Rama zombies. They're like, you're coping. This is cope. And I'm just thinking to myself, uh, okay, I got a couple of comments I didn't like, but the video was nothing but a success. I got 7 new subscribers, and you already know I don't care about subs, so that was like icing on the cake. That wasn't even necessary. And over 1,000 views on a video in less than a week. So in what way did I not get a successful result off of that? You are coping. Coping with what? 1,000 views in 3 days? 7 new subs on one video? You are coping. Dude, I swear, why is it that when people like somebody, they can't address anything the person is saying about them, you know? Like I remember when I was on my thing of defending, like for example, Sanders, and every time there was a Fox segment about him or some other person writing some hit piece article, I would go through piece by piece and explain why it was stupid. They don't even do that. Like I mentioned that this guy um, talks trash about China, right? Wants to raise the voting age to 25. Just weird stuff. And they don't respond to my criticisms of his actual policy positions. They just tell me that I'm stupid and he's 100% right, and I want him to tell me to pack up and leave the U.S. if I hate it, which I don't know where they got that idea from, but it's just like I just thought it was funny that if I do a video and they come to the video and they start writing like nasty stuff, they're not coping with my video. But if I do a video responding to what they wrote to my video, I'm coping. Requires work and a bit of thinking. So they are just going to throw insults or say you're cope. And dude, it's like, I swear, I tried so hard to have a civilized, one of the one person that I didn't bother like messing with the comments of, even he couldn't respond to what I said. He was just like, he is correct, he is right. It's like, right about what? What is this guy so accurate on? Like, tell me, please. I want to know. One of them said, watch more interviews. Like, for what? I just gave you multiple positions of his that I don't agree with. Megumi, you are coping. Dude, I wish I had the reaction that they think I had to that video. Like, I was smiling all week long. I was like, man, 800 views in 2 days, 1,000 views in 3 days. I went from like 238, 239, or was it 2399 to 2408 or so. I mean, like, it was nothing but a success. I was smiling from ear to ear, and all the little stupid stuff they were writing, I didn't even respond to outside of, in a video. But I mean, those guys are a flash in the pan anyway. Because remember, we talked before about how most people that leave comments that you've never seen before, 9 times out of 10, will never leave another comment on your channel ever again if you don't talk about a specific thing or whatever. It's so crazy to do videos about like all these different candidates, and that's the only one where his followers are so like what it is that most people don't even bother talking about him probably. So like if you do a video talking about him, they come on it and they swarm it and they start like writing all this weird stuff. Like one of them said that I was being racist because I put zombies at the end of his name. It's like, what is that? What does race have to do with that? I didn't know. I can't think of any ethnicity that's tied to a fictional monster. You know what I mean? Like what? And really, it's kind of ironic for someone to be, trying to say I'm being that when we look at, I mean, you can always rewatch My Unpopular Color to see why that's something that's really funny to be accused of. Dude, I was smiling that whole week. I was like, okay, a couple of stupid comments. That happens anytime you do a video that gets a mild bit of traction, but they really said that I was coping. I'm like, dude, I got what I wanted and then some. I was because I just put up a video, whatever. I have no idea what's going to do better than what else. But I can assure you, I wasn't expecting those 7 damn new subs and 1,000 views in 3 days. That surprised me. No, we're not going to do a bit of thinking or work. We're going to just. I'm gonna start doing it anytime somebody says something I don't agree with. I'm just gonna say they're coping. This person says that they don't agree with my romantic choices. They're coping. This job said that I'm not qualified. They're coping. I'm gonna deal with everything now. We don't need to sit back and actually go through piece by piece why what someone is saying is wrong. We're just gonna say they're coping. We're gonna say they're coping, and we're gonna tell them that they need to pack up and leave their country because apparently they hate it if they criticize a candidate. If anything, you gain great results from putting that video up. I mean, yeah, the subs don't matter much, but those views were certainly earned and reciprocated. Well, I already told you, like the sub thing was just icing on the cake because it's like if I just got 1,000 views, like yeah, but the fact that there were 7 new subs from one video surprised me, but that's why I said like I have no regrets about the video. It did way better than I thought it would, and it's like that made me want to make a second one with the Rama Zombies one because I'm like, yeah, there's something wrong with this guy's fans if none of them can address what even back in the day, when I was like I didn't go back and forth with them, but like a lot of Trump backers would like leave comments. At least with them, they would at least try to defend his specific positions, right? With some of these people, it really is a cult of personality with these candidates. Like you'll hear about how this person is smart and they're right, but what are they smart with regard to? What are they right about? What solutions are they offering that sounds different from anybody else? Like this guy is in third place, yeah, but he's 40 points behind his main competitor. So he still is nowhere close to winning this damn thing. I said, maybe instead of harassing somebody that reported a news story, you guys should go around and try to help your candidate get higher up in the polls. Just a thought. I'm telling you, sometimes I really do feel like the people that support these candidates aren't even actual adults. Like, I've seen children online say that someone is coping if they criticize a person they like. So it really does feel like it's kids doing that. Like, I have a hard time believing there's like 30, 40, 50-year-old people just writing coping, coping. But whatever, that guy's another flash in the pan. Come this time next year, he'll be out of the race and probably trying to get a book deal or start a podcast or something. He's done. It's just the flavor of the month hasn't subsided yet. Oh man, this heat is crazy. What was I gonna say here? I'm trying to think what other weird stuff happened this week. I'm at a loss for words. I guess I could say this job stuff is getting slightly more cartoonish. Where at first they were, doing their whole part time thing. Now what they do is they'll call you at any random point of the day, right? And if you don't answer them, again, any random point of the day, that's it. Or they'll lie about calling you. There's one lady, she's like, "Hi, I wanted to see if you would be interested in this job, but I called you and I missed you." And I look at my records, I'm like, "No, you didn't. What are you talking about, bimbo?" I've had at least 2 or 3 different jobs lie and say they called me, and I look on my records and there's no call from them. So that's a thing they like to do. They like to say, "Oh, I tried to call you, but you didn't answer. I tried to call you, but you didn't answer. I tried to call you, but you like, no, you didn't call anybody." Lying prick. I mean, yeah, the subs don't matter much. I agree completely. I already told you before. Once you get 1,000 subs, actually, I take back. Once you get like 1,000 plus, maybe like 1,200, 300, you can just take the rest and throw them in the trash because there's you're better off not even worrying about them anymore. The only thing that matters on this site is views. The more views you get, the higher chance you have of people subscribing and actually watching your stuff and checking it out. And like I said, there's nothing fundamentally different about my channel at 2,000 subs than there would be if I had 200,000, other than more people that just wouldn't watch. That's why I said the only thing I care about at this point is views. Just people watching. I'm thinking of unsubbing. Okay, go ahead. I won't miss you. I won't cry. I won't be coping. I'll be hoping. I'm like, yeah, get out. That's the only advice I would ever give to anybody on this site. The only thing that matters is views. I'm not even joking. If I can get 200, 300, 400 views a day, I don't care if I don't get more than maybe like a sub a month or less than that. It doesn't matter. People are still watching anyway. Like I said, only time subs matter is if you have under 1,000. But after that, oh, don't get me started on the job situation. Hey, it sounds like something I would say. Whew. I might end up having to do a whole separate stream about that. There's a lot of little weird twists and turns. Like we need to make a full recap stream where it's just piece by piece, employer by employer, talking about all the weird stuff that's happened with them. But I'm really serious when I say we don't need any more subscribers. Like I don't need any more of them. I'm very serious when I claim that if every video I did got 1,000 or 2,000 or even higher than that, and I just stayed at 2,000 forever, I'd be totally fine with that. Like I'm really not even saying to be funny or negative or whatever. Like I can be completely satisfied with having just 2K subs, like indefinitely, but people watching and watching and watching. Then oh, here's 100,000 subs. Then you put up a video and it gets maybe like 2,000 views or lower than that. And I tell you, that's the biggest difference between me and back and me now and me 3 or 4 years ago. Because I remember I could be posting things for 10 years and I'd still only have, I wouldn't have 3,000. Not anymore. That doesn't bother me at all. This one person said it would be funny if YouTube made it to where you can only sub to 15 channels. I gotta tell you, that would solve a lot of the glut that's on this site. Because if people really felt like they had to be sub to you, they would pick you. Well, you do get paid for views and not subs after all. And me and my friend really do have that as like a line where I'm like, I don't get paid for the subs, I get paid for that. And then he finishes and he's like, views. I'm telling you, after 1,000 subs, don't do anything meaningful. Like 100,000 is a plaque, right? Which I wouldn't even be able to put anywhere because I don't have my own place. Uh, I guess I could assume that if I ever did reach that number, I would hypothetically make enough to afford somewhere, but even that's dodgy. And you get like a personal ability to email YouTube, but even then, it's like, what am I going to talk to them about? So I said subs are they're cool for reaching milestones, and again, when you want to get monetized. But after that, aside from that, they're just whatever to me. That's why I said the only thing I care about now is views. If I woke up tomorrow and it said -10 subs, I wouldn't even blink. And I appreciate the subs that actually watch stuff. I really do, and I've said that repeatedly in the past. But as far as these other things are concerned, it's whatever to me. Let me see here. I'm gonna show you this in real time. I can't screenshot it because I'm only using like one hand. But I was gonna say, Megumi, that I looked at my analytics from last year. There has been my views have increased by 122%, and the subs, even though I don't care about them, have increased by 427%. Watch times up by 25%. So I'm in nothing but green, which is why when I did my video on that stupid candidate, and that guy was like, "I predict you will shut down your channel," after, it's like, for what? I'm in green. I'm getting more views now consistently than ever before. So I'm not embarrassed. The decline is over. I just think it's really hilarious that someone pretended that since the person they like had a video that I made on him that they didn't like, oh, his channel is dying. No, it's thriving. It's doing better than it's probably ever done at least consistently. I just think people are hilarious with some of the stuff they claim and the predictions they make. But no, I don't feel embarrassed at all. We're a lot closer to my rise than my fall. I'll put it that way. If you don't believe me, I will screenshot that thing and put it in the community tab. It's all green, except the only thing that's not green is the revenue. But like I said, I'm not in this for money, so every part of that green, green, green. Well, no, all I'm saying is that I'm not, like I said before. My stated goal, at least since this year started, has been increasing the number of views, like wanting more people to watch it. That has been a thing that they've been doing consistently for now several months. So I don't feel embarrassed or bad about the views, and since the views are my main concern at this point, not subs, then there's nothing for me to feel embarrassed by. That'd be funny. We do an end of the year stream, and I'm like, all right, I got this many views this year, mission accomplished, with a little thumbs up. Imagine I purposely like mirror the Terminator 2 ending with like I find a way to make it look like I'm sinking with the thumb up. Oh, by the way, this is actually kind of funny. I was just I was curious. I looked on the Insta garbage of the chick that made the new account but's pretending it's a different person, and you'll never guess who she was following, who's like one of the people that she follows. About was that really 2 years ago? There was some woman I did like a video called "Why Do Women with Boyfriends Like Talking to Me," and I showed one of them where she was like claiming she just got on my nerves and she was talking about her boyfriend or whatever. But I stopped speaking to her after that, and the one that is doing that weird thing with the accounts is following that one. Hey, all the crappy chicks all teaming up and grouping up together. Bimbos unite. Oh man, when I saw that, I said, "Talk about worlds collide." I mean, they're gonna have like some crossover event. One of the chicks from the romance cinematic universe knows the sole content creator who I tried to be friends with or nice to or friendly with, whatever, that stabbed me in the back. Like, wow. They are crazy. That would be funny if they actually, because I never heard the voice of the one that made the other account, but I heard the voice of the one that runs the stupid Insta garbage, and it would be funny if they did some collab video together. We need that to come out. Romance cinematic universe when people are already trying to make it. That's why when I would do a stream, these guys would be like, "He's the new insert other person who makes romance content. Here's name." The romance, the RCU. I'll tell you, sometimes I really do feel like this site is just this big giant comic book, because you'll do a video or a stream and somebody be like, "Hey, did you see that other person's video? They said in their video," it's like, what do they have to do with what I'm talking about? Because they do that in comics where they'll have some character who's doing whatever, and then they'll make mention like, "Oh, this other superhero is in Africa or China or Sweden." Like, just they'll make references to somebody else, and it'll be completely irrelevant to the story that's going on. Like you're supposed to, like, these two streams take place concurrently with each other. You gotta watch them both. That would be funny if all the chicks knew each other and like teamed up, form some kind of revenge group. It would just be funny because it's like they always say the I words are so evil and they're plotting the extinction of females, and they're so scary. But then it's like, I'm not looking at any of these chicks. I'm not bothering them. Heck, one of them, if what I believe is true, and this isn't even a romantic thing. This is just her being weird. Waited a year to come back and try messing with me again. So that would be a real fun reversal. I already said before, the problem with trying to have like friendships or be friendly toward a lot of them is there's just too much erotic subtext. Like, you'll be surprised that you can just casually talk to a woman and it really feels like they're trying to like say things that allude to something romantic, even though you're not trying to make it that way. God, it is so. I might be able to do this for maybe like 5 more minutes. That heat is crazy. I had Jem talking about I was streaming too early. I said I was streaming that early because I like that when I come up here, I don't have to worry about anybody playing any loud blasting music. I like that it's not, you know, warm. I mean, the temperature just fits me a lot better when it's the morning. I'm sorry to say. I'm just imagining the Romance Cinematic Universe Phase One is like all the origin movies, and then the big team up movie. I tell you though, we shouldn't even bother trying to make that though, because every cinematic universe except Marvel always goes to, you know what, proceeds to oblivion. I'm thinking about the Dark Universe. We're gonna have remakes of all the classic horror villains or monsters, and then they do one movie with Tom Cruise that everyone says is awful, and then they're like, all right, never mind. I just think that's so funny how they were like, yeah, and then one movie later, nope. I'll say I'll have to agree with Jem that he mentioned that. Look, the point I'm making is sometimes it's due to the weather, sometimes it's due to the fact that I have other things to do. Um, you know, it's just because that's how I was missing your recent streams. Sure, but you understand that if I have obligations on Saturday and Monday, more so on Monday than Saturday, but still, um, I can't just come at this particular time and then, you know, not have to jump back into the swing of things with other stuff as well. So I'm just saying that there's a lot of external factors that you might not think about when you say, hey, you know, why don't you show up at this time because I'll be able to see. It's like, yeah, but I have other stuff I'm doing too. Like I still have to go to the market. I still got to go and pick this thing up. I have one errand that I might not even be able to do because I came later today. It all depends on when that person is doing their thing, I guess. But you get the point that it's not just, you know, oh well, I'm gonna stream at this time. If you don't like it, you can go eat whatever. No, it's just I have stuff that happens that to where I'm like, okay, well, if I do this early, I know I can sit there for a whole hour, 2 hours, and not have to worry about, you know, something happening. I already know you're gonna go on Yelp and give me a 1 star and talk about how deceitful I was and you felt like you were ignored and I didn't respond to any of your comments. I can already see the negative review pouring in. You're gonna say that my stream was so boring and I was coping and uh you know all the rhetoric of someone that dislikes my stuff. I can already picture it. I just know that when I get back, I'm the first thing I'm doing is opening up a cold drink. This workplace doesn't like us leaving at our contracted time. We have an hour later most of the times. Yeah, that's how these jobs are. They sweat you for every penny and every second that they can keep you there. And they have no problem violating their own rules to keep you to stay there. Just like I remember when I was working at that retailer, the manager had me stay there, come there at like I think it was 12 in the afternoon, and then I was scheduled to leave at 8 p.m. and it turned to 8 p.m. and they're like, oh, I want you to do something else, and they scheduled me to leave at 8:30 because they try to say, oh, well, your break factored in at 30 minutes makes it to where we can keep you for. It's like, what is that? You're supposed to have an 8-hour shift, 2 breaks. You get your little 15-minute snack period or and then like the 30-minute for lunch. So you get where that's really crazy, where they're like, well, you took 2 breaks that equal to 45 minutes, so we get to keep you for another 30. Like, what? Yes, that's exactly what has been going on since I started. Tell you, man, these employers treat the people that work for them like garbage. It's sad. I had this one person, they said I was a hypocrite for entertaining the idea of wearing lipstick, but then talking about makeup. I said, no, 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 no. The only thing about any of that stuff I would consider is lipstick, not eyeliner, not the blush or whatever that they put. No, none of that. That's the only part of that I would consider. The rest of it is whatever to me. Like, I'm not interested. But you get the idea that, like, when I say makeup, I'm not just talking about one part. I'm talking about the whole ensemble. Like I mentioned before, when I was working at that last place, I had a coworker who had some eyeliner, some stuff on her cheeks, lips as well, the eyebrows done a certain way, and I'm just like, this. I'm not saying it to hurt anyone's feelings, but they didn't even look like a human being to me anymore. Like I know that when they go home, they don't look like that. When they wake up, they don't look like that. Oh man. I'm just saying that like they really thought they got me. They're like, "Oh, you're a hypocrite. You said that you didn't like makeup." I'm like, yeah, makeup, not this one part of it that just covers the lips. Like the rest of that person's face still looks the exact way it does when they got out of bed in the morning. I'm just saying that's always been the part I've had the least number of problems with. This is why I honestly prefer chicks with no makeup or with little makeup that doesn't obscure their natural beauty. Yeah, me too. I'm just saying that with some of the ones I've liked, the only stuff they'll put on is maybe something on their lips, and that's it. Oh my god, this guy. Jesus Christ. Turn the music off. Like, God, they do that every time they go somewhere. They have to play some loud music. But no, I agree with you. I prefer no makeup either. I'm just saying that like if I had to compromise and they had to wear some of it, I can tolerate lipstick. It's fine with me. Like yeah, they have some pretty exotic colors they like to put on, green and purple or whatever, but even that's not the biggest offense in my view. I remember that chick that worked at that last place with me who thought I was trying to become her boyfriend because I asked her for an email to actually be able to speak to her more than once a day. Uh, she had some pink lipstick she would put on. She was fine, little skinny chick, whatever. I was just kind of annoyed that I really wasn't. Well, I already said before that she was an idiot for thinking I was into her. Just because I asked if I could have another way of speaking to her that's not, at the job, so I could actually talk a little bit longer. That's why I said there's that erotic subtext. You think I'm playing? After I got that stupid email, I never responded. That my interest in her went like this. I was done. That's what I said. It's hard for me to even like entertain the idea of having female friends because they always think you want to be their boyfriend. They always act like you have some devious master plan to get with them. Like not every guy that you meet is trying to become your significant other. It's just stupid. That's why I said I'm sick of them. And when she already has someone, why would she think that? Because she's a narcissist. These chicks all think they're the most beautiful, amazing woman that ever walked the face of the earth. And any man that talks to them must be trying to get their number or go on a date with them. And we all have these secret plots of how we're going to corral them. It's stupid. But yeah, it mainly just comes down to ego. They all think they're so special and lovely. It's like, look at me, I'm so attractive. Yeah, whatever. Let's see what this person wrote. Oh, somebody write something to me or no? I hate that site so much. I'm not even joking. Like I feel like I'd be the kind of person that if I wore if I wore lipstick, I actually probably would forget to take it off. And then when I got back over, they'd be like, why do you? It was like, oh, and then it would be like this big, like oh crap type moment. Because I've seen that stuff is not. You can't just like, and there you go. There's like a whole process to getting that stuff off. I probably have to go to one of those public restrooms and just scrub and scrub and scrub. Especially if I was crazy enough to try wearing like, you know, that face paint stuff they like to put on the eyebrows and the eyelashes and all the rest of that. I'd be out of my mind. That you'd be up there all day trying to get that off. That'd be the end of everything. Whew. Best excuse is to say you were making out with it. No, I don't think they would believe that one. They already know I'm not exactly the most interested in talking to them. So the idea that I would be doing that one of them would, I don't think they'd believe it. They probably would more sooner believe I was cast in a movie and that's why I had it on. I was playing some character who doesn't like the natural color of his lips, so he has to disguise it with some other with some other ingredients. That actually make for a funny scene in the movie where, like, let's say there's some wife who thinks her husband was cheating on her because there's like lipstick on his collar or something like that, and then you find out he had like a cranberry pie, and the pie is like the same color, and it's like right by the shirt. But yeah, I probably won't be doing that anytime soon. Eventually, maybe, but in the interim, with these extremely judgmental, not very open to anything that's not their own status quo people. I'm gonna need a better excuse now, Megumi. You're gonna have to come up with something else. You're gonna have to invent a new reason. Yeah, I think I'll probably head off here in a moment because I really am just burning up over here. It's like being in a furnace. God, that's it. I don't know what's wrong with the weather now. Some days it's really cold, especially in the morning, and then it just heats up. But yeah, I just think a lot of this stuff is crazier than it needs to be, and I'm still gonna try and see if I can get that person to come on and do that stream, or at least do a pre-recording with me, and then I'll put it up with them. And Well, we'll see what happens. These employers are really insane. They're stupid. They lie. They waste people's time. I'm very worried about some stuff relating to them, and I'll get into that probably next Saturday as we approach the last quarter of this month. Um, that would be awesome. Hey, don't get your hopes up because you know what happens when you get your hopes up. Then when you get let down, it's even worse. Just have it like as a back burner thing. Like, hey, maybe this might happen. We don't know because that's how I'm treating. I haven't heard anything back from them, so I don't know what their response will be. They might say, "Oh, the person I did that stream with has 12,000. You only have 2,000. Get out of here." So you never know. But anyways, I am I'm glad you showed up. Um, Again, I only don't do this earlier because I do have other stuff to do, especially on Monday. So thanks for showing up, and I will be back on Saturday. I might make another romance video. I'm not entirely sure. It's either that or I try to do this thing with this person. Um, but yeah, these last 7 months they have not been fun, and it's becoming very worrying. Some of the stuff I'm seeing. So have a good day, Megumi, and anyone that decides to watch the replay as well. Um, I guess the one bright side is that tomorrow that book's coming out, and I'm excited to read that because the first new content for that series in 15 years. But anyways, thanks for showing up. Appreciate you, and I'll see you again.